Hey, so today I was thinking that I wanted to talk about people on the internet. I've talked about this before. I've talked about like some people on the internet, but I want to talk about people on the internet that I've watched that I can thoroughly say are not good people or I just despise now. Like the idea that I used to watch someone and now I just do not like them. And I don't mean like in a way where it's like, oh, I just stopped liking their content and I moved away from it. As much as I mean the person just completely is a horrible person or is just so fucking unlikable that I couldn't bring myself to enjoy their content anymore. Like, and obviously it's subjective, right? If whether or not you like some of these people is completely subjective. But I'm going to start with start. I'm going to start. I'm going to start with the obvious ones. I'm going to start with the YouTubers that I feel like if you still like them, you might need to go to jail. I'm just going to say. So I guess we start with the most well known, the most prolific EDP445, a YouTuber whose whole identity was that he liked the Eagles and that he was fat and loved shitting. That was his whole fucking identity. But you know what? He was like I liked what he did. I liked that he was just unfiltered, that he just did not care. He said what he wanted to say. He was no nonsense and said whatever the fuck he wanted to say. And I liked that. I loved that. I loved seeing this guy just be this overly vulgar guy who he wasn't afraid to say anything. He wasn't afraid to talk about any kind of story, from something about going to the bathroom to sex to riding a plane to running over a fucking horse with his car. I don't fucking know. My point being is that he was unfiltered and he didn't care. And I admired that. I liked that. I was like, he just says whatever he wants. He just talks aimlessly. He doesn't have like an actual like crazy thing to him. He's just doing what he wants. He just says what he wants. He's no nonsense. He puts his words out there and he lays it down and he moves on. And if anyone has a problem with that, he walks away because he doesn't give a shit, right? That was something that I admired in him until the day that it came out that he was sexting minors, or well, fake minors, because they were technically sting. Well, the first one was from a guy called Cold Raven who did it, who was the opposite side of EDP. He was a Ravens fan who was trying to catch EDP in the act. And for some reason, people just ignored that one. People just acted as if it never happened and just kind of were just like, oh, whatever, man, who cares? But then the fucking Predator Poachers one happened. They catch him red fucking handed. And not only that, but the Predator Poachers fucking, they fucking self destructed themselves. They took EDP down, but they also took themselves down. But that was the day where I watched it and I was like, this fucking idiot. Like, what the fuck? Like, how the fuck do you just. I don't know. I don't know. It's just one of those things where it's like I genuinely enjoyed his content. I thought there was so much to like about him, even if you didn't like the vulgarity, even if you didn't like the gross shit and all that. Like the fact that he was no nonsense and just spoke his mind and said whatever the fuck. That's what I admired about him. And now I literally can never look at anything from him the same way because he's a fucking disgusting person. And the fact that he's not in jail is honestly a crime. But right now he's talking about his kidney failure, and I know, like, I don't wish for him to die. I don't wish for people to die because I'm not like that. He's a terrible person, and I could give less of a shit. If he died, I would not bat an eye. I would not even feel the slightest bit of remorse. I would probably even say well deserved, but I'm not gonna wish it. Once he's gone, I don't care. But he's a horrible person. But I always admired that he was unfiltered and he just said what he wanted to say. But now he still tries to do it, but it has no charm. It has no care, and it's just nothing but a complete fucking creep who just talks aimlessly, with every single new thing that he says being just another addition to how fucking disgusting he is. So, moving on, we're going to go to yet another person I used to watch who turned out to be a predator, who also did not go to jail despite the fact that he fucking should, and that person is Mini Lad. Mini Lad was a YouTuber who primarily did like Call of Duty stuff. He hung out with a group of guys called the Vanoss crew, from Vanoss, who is a very popular guy. Vanoss is hilarious, and he's just getting like more and more wild. Like he's getting like super fucking like edgy with his content now. He's hilarious. But Mini Lad used to play with them. He used to be really one of the more well-known members of the group. Like everyone knew him. Everyone knew Mini Lad. It was Vanoss, Delirious, Nogla, basically Wildcat, Mini Lad, Louie, and there were others. But eventually, he broke away. And, most people were just like, oh, if he wants to just make a name for himself, then hey, what's wrong with that? It's good for like YouTubers who are like part of groups to like break away. Like they don't have to cut the group off, but they can just move on, do fun things, have fun, find their own little thing. Nothing wrong with that. But then, what the fuck's going on? It's just a car beeping. Oh, great, that's gonna be in the background. But he eventually just started shit talking his friends, stabbing them in the back, treating them like assholes. And then just everyone found out he's a compulsive liar. He just lies about everything, lies about his friends. His friends are throwing him under the bus, telling him how much Minnie is a fucking liar. And that was like the first thing, right? Like I saw that and I was like, wow, Minnie's a real fucking asshole. And I eventually unsubscribed to him. But that wasn't even the that wasn't even the thing. That was just the tip. Like the whole ass iceberg was still underwater and that bitch was about to come out. And I didn't know. Because I was just like, oh, he's an untrustworthy, selfish, lying asshole. Then, lo and behold, it comes out that he was sexting minors and, trying to keep them around him by like being like, oh, I'm going to kill myself if you fucking don't talk to me. And he was just being disgusting. And he never apologized for the longest time. He never apologized. He didn't turn himself in. He didn't do shit. And then when he eventually apologized, it was half-assed and he didn't do anything. And now to this day, I'm pretty sure he's still uploading. I haven't checked, mostly because I don't want his name in my fucking search bar on YouTube, because then that's just going to look like I watch a fucking Predator. But I don't know what he's doing now. And I don't want to know, because he's disgusting. And I hope he gets arrested. Just like EDP, I hope that Mini Lad ends up in jail. But I liked his content. I always liked his content. I thought he was a funny guy. I thought he was interesting. I thought he was one of the more unique members of the Vanoss crew. But then when he broke away, he became generic. He became nothing. Then he became a fucking piece of shit. And then he became a disgusting monster. And it got worse. And it was just like, holy fucking shit. Like, I hope you fucking go to jail. So I guess then we move on to a third that, again, actually there's two more that apparently were predators, and I actually talked about these guys, I'm pretty sure, in order, but now, enough time has passed that I want to talk about these more in depth. So next up is a YouTuber, a Minecraft YouTuber who eventually became like a variety gamer named Jinbop. Jinbop was a high school friend of Sky Does Minecraft, and Sky basically helped him get a channel up and helped him start his career. And Jinbop, I always liked him because I thought he was very optimistic. He was very upbeat, but he wasn't like kid friendly, right? Like he wasn't like kid friendly upbeat where it's just like, yo guys, we found diamonds in Minecraft. Whoa guys, that's like so crazy. Smash like if you also like diamonds in Minecraft. Like no, he was just he was just like an uplifting, kind of positive guy who's kind of entertaining. And I was like, I didn't watch his Minecraft shit at all because I didn't like Minecraft. But I liked his variety gaming stuff. And I thought, you know what, this guy's like such a positive, nice dude. I was like, this guy's so uplifting. It's kind of nice to watch, right? And then that's about as far as it went. Because eventually Jinbop was texting minors, or he was texting a specific miner, and he tried to meet up with that miner, and he was arrested. And I think he's actually out of jail now, I'm pretty sure. But it's just like, he was such like a positive, uplifting guy. He was like nice to watch, and he's just a fucking creep. Like it's just like, you can't ever just, like there can't ever just be something good out of these. They're always just gotta be fucking creeps. Like he's just a bad person. But anyway, I can't really talk on that one long because I don't have the biggest history with him, but I liked his content. And he ended up being a fucking disgusting person. Yet again. And I said that I had two more that were creeps, but unfortunately I actually have two more now, so that would have made three, so now it's down to two because I talked about Jinbot. So next up are two of them. The next two are actually like old ones. They are like what would be considered OG game YouTubers. And I'm going to talk about the lesser one, Raid Wolf Game, or Gamer or something like that. Raid Wolf was a guy from Canada named Ralph, I believe, and he never really got a lot of success on YouTube. Like, he didn't really pull in big views. He wasn't really well known. However, he was part of like popular friend groups, and he even did play with Markiplier, I believe, in a Minecraft video. I believe he did actually play with Markiplier a long time ago. He usually hung out with people like Just a Minx, or no, not Just a Minx. That's wrong person. Wrong Minx. Wrong Minx. I think. I don't know. There's two Minxes. There's a streamer Minx who's having like alcohol problems, and then there's like a Minx who plays horror games with her girlfriend now. But whatever. He used to play with her a lot. I don't remember who else. I think like Entwin and D Live. He would play a lot with them. I don't remember. But he was known for, he was known like he had a wife, he had a daughter, and he also had like a workout channel, and he seemed like such a nice guy, and I used to love watching him. Like he was one of those like hamming it up horror game YouTubers where jump scare happens, they screech and oh my god, whoa, Freddy Fazbear, oh my god, he's tickling my nuts. It's like crazy. But then the cracks in his character started to show when he admitted to cheating on his wife with a younger woman. I think she was like 18 or something like that. So while that one is disgusting because it's like, oh, ew, cheating, it was at least with an adult. That's like the only silver lining to that, because I'm going to be honest, I despise adultery so much and I think it's disgusting. But when that happened, I was like, dude, what the fuck? And not to mention, I was like, dude, if you do that, maybe you shouldn't air that. Like, that's like a behind the scenes thing. You do not just come out and be like, I cheated on my wife. Like, what the fuck's wrong with you? So I think his wife eventually divorced him. And he didn't really. I don't think he had his child. I don't know if he had custody or not. It doesn't matter, because what comes next is great. And by great, I mean disgusting. And eventually, Raid Wolf. I actually didn't even see a video about it. Like, his channel, like, I was subscribed to him, and his channel was gone. And I was like, where the fuck does channel go? And when I tried to type it into YouTube, I would get videos that were just like people with like compilations, like, oh, scare compilation, laugh compilation. And I was just like, okay, so his channel's gone, but nobody's saying anything. So I typed it into Google, and Google came with a police report headline shit that was like, Ralph, I don't remember his last name, aka Raid Wolf Games, was arrested in Canada trying to meet up with a minor. And I was like, oh my fucking god. And it was like a Facebook post, and like all like the people like commenting on the Facebook post were just like, there's no way that's him. Like, they're like, there's no way Raid just did that. There's no way that's actually the same guy. But it was him. He got arrested trying to meet a minor, and this dude had a child. This man had a child. And at the end of the day, I haven't seen a lot about this. Like, it feels like this thing came and went and no one talked about it. And that's what blows my mind about it. Like, there's not been like a single video that's like, Raid Wolf Games was a YouTuber from 20 whatever the fuck, and he was caught meeting a minor. Like, there's no videos like that. Like, every other YouTuber gets caught and there's videos, but Raid Wolf, there was like nothing. Like, no one cared. Like, that's how little his presence was. It felt, that's how small his channel felt, is that it felt like no one talked about him or cared. And maybe at the end of the day, maybe none of this happened. Maybe it's all just like a lie. Maybe I was baited. But his channel's gone, and from what I've been told, he was arrested. So I think it's real. But I actually enjoyed his content. And yeah, that cheating thing was like the first one where you kind of realize like, oh shit, this guy's not a good person. And now he's super not a good person. And I hope he rots in jail. So next up is another YouTuber that I used to watch. He was very close to PewDiePie. His name was Cryotic, or I think it was originally like Chaotic Monkey was like his original name, but he went by Cry. He was known for having a silky, sultry voice that people loved hearing. He would read creepypastas, he'd play games, he had very little reaction, he never showed his face, and he would talk very lightly. His voice was like very smooth, and him and PewDiePie were like so close that people were writing like fan fictions and they would read them together and laugh about them. And they were so close. Like, I loved watching them. It was like watching Markiplier and Yami Mash, right? Back then, when you watched Markiplier and Yami Mash, it was like, oh my god, I love these two together. That's what PewDiePie and Cry was like. It was like that. Also, I'm not talking about Yami Mash because his situation was actually not anything really. Like, I'm pretty sure it like turned out that it was actually not anything. That he was actually tricked or something. I don't know. I don't know anything about the Yami Mash one. I'm gonna be honest. But Cry was like insanely popular. He was insanely well loved. And dude got away with what he did because like he did a lot of horrible shit. He treated his friends like shit. He was like trying to get their fucking girlfriends. I'm pretty sure he texted minors. I actually don't know the full extent of the Cry one because it feels like every time I see a video on the Cry one, it's like everyone's information conflicts. Because one side is saying that he was like horrible to his friends, another is saying that he was just stealing their girlfriends. Then another one says he was trying to meet minors. Another says he was texting minors. So this one's a bit gray because it's like I don't really know whether or not he did what he did or not. But considering he vanished and considering everyone on the internet's against him, I'm going to assume it's true. But obviously it's like innocent until proven guilty. But there's a lot of evidence, so I'm going to assume pretty guilty. But there's not much I can say on that one, mostly because I don't fully understand the extent. But I've been talking about YouTubers that I stopped watching because they were bad people, because they were criminals. But I haven't talked about a YouTuber I stopped watching because they were obnoxious or just not likable. And I can only think of one instance, and that person is iDubbbz. iDubbbz was a YouTuber who was known for content cop. He was known for, you know, anytime a YouTuber crossed him, he put out a content cop and their career flatlined. Like, dude had the power to completely make and break a person's career. He fucking took them all out. And not only that, but even when he made videos that were just for funny stuff that wasn't content cop, he was still funny. And you can look at it and be like, oh, well, he said slurs a lot and he was offensive. It's like, yeah, who cares? Like, who honestly gives a shit? Like, as long as he's not being genuinely a bad person, then I couldn't have given less of a shit. However, as time went on, he became very thin-skinned. People started calling him a cuck, and he made a whole video whining. And even then, I defended him. When people were like calling him a cuck and shit, I was like, who cares? I was like, who cares if his wife has a fucking OnlyFans? Who gives a shit? But then it just got worse. And, you know, he did the Creator Clash thing, and that was the last time that I was on his side. Because I was like, see, he did a cool thing. But then he just became unbearable. Now he's virtue signals. Now he just constantly calls everything offensive. He blames his offensive past on the fans. He acts like the fans are the ones who did all this. Like he's a victim of his fans. Like he's just a wuss. Like he's just a pussy. That's literally all it is. He's on a leash. He's on a leash with his balls cut off. That's all he does now. So I stopped watching him because he just became like a fucking lecturing baby. Like all he does is lecture people on what to think. He acts like his fans are the reason why he was so offensive back then. He was a grown-ass adult. If you are like in your 20s and you make the subconscious decision or you make the conscious decision to, you know, be offensive, and then literally like a year or two later, you're like, oh, I've changed. It was like, I never was that type of person. I was doing it for entertainment. It's like bullshit. Absolute bullshit. So I stopped watching iDubbbz because he basically just, I could give less of a shit about the OnlyFans thing. I don't care about the cuck stuff. I honestly don't give a shit. Like people are into that. People are into that. I'm not going to fucking shame people. And I'm not going to give a shit whether or not what his wife is doing. Because at the end of the day, I don't care about his wife. I care about what he was doing. And what he was doing was being a fucking bitch. So That's like the only instance of a YouTuber I can say I stopped watching because they were, just annoying or became like a shittier person compared to the other ones where I stopped watching them because they were legit criminals. And the fact that out of all of those, Jin Bop and Raid Wolf are the only ones who actually went to jail for the things they did is mind blowing. So yeah, a weird video. So I don't know. I just want to talk about YouTubers I stopped watching for good reason. So yeah, whatever.